it is the entertainment capital of the world, and there's always something going on, whether it be on the strip, on the street. But I think lots of the sort of people in Vegas view sport as a way they can change the culture of the city and of the people in the city.
Going to Allegiant Stadium, which is this brand new, they call it the Death Star, and after being there, it's for a reason, because it's like you're in a spaceship. People here, you know, you spend $2.5 billion to build a stadium, but you walk in there and you can see every single dollar that they've spent on that stadium, and it is worth it. It would be the coolest thing to see a game there.
So today at T-Mobile Arena, we had a broadcast operations sort of tour, so we got to see all the radio boxes, all the media booths, and, you know, even just all their audio equipment that they use. You know, there's a whole production element that you don't think would go into a sporting event, but there is. You know, having boxes full of power outlets underneath, you know, in the loading dock of the stadium, and, you know, seeing how everything in the stadium at T-Mobile Arena, everything is connected. Well, I think the one thing that's been different being in the crowd for these events is that Americans want something different from their sport compared to Australian sports fans. Australian sports fans very much want to see the sport. Like, you look at our sports, cricket and football and even soccer and basketball to that extent. You see the ball in motion, you see lots of play, and you come over here and it's very stop-start, so you have to find fillers to entertain the crowd while they're there for that time. Like, you can go to a Golden Knights game and not even know anything about hockey and still have a really good time. Whereas if you go to an AFL game, you almost have to know the rules to know what's going on.
Speaking to industry professionals that work in sport every day and what they do and how different it is to Australian sport, getting to see how they, you know, even just do market research for their partnerships and how they present packages to partners is quite impressive, and is something that I've really enjoyed about this trip, and getting to see that firsthand is something that I guess you wouldn't get that exposure in Australia even if you were working in the industry, and now we've somehow got that exposure in a completely different country, which is pretty cool, and we can take back the lessons that we've learned here and at least attempt to implement them if we can. It's a different environment, but it's pretty cool to see how it's worked.
I'm Dave. Hello.
Hi, Dave.
How are you guys?
All right.
It's the group.
Hey, great. Nice to have you all with us. And you having a good time?
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great.
Getting to experience a college campus in America is something that I've always wanted to do, but I actually didn't think that it would be as nuts as it is. Walking into UNLV and you're getting taken through and you walk past the first couple classrooms and you're like, oh yeah, it looks a bit similar to home, and then you walk into a full-blown like professional studio for a TV show kind of set up that's using an like newsroom reading like set, and it's like student run, and it's just insane how different it is from home and how, I guess, grand everything is. They do say that everything's bigger in America, but it's like legitimately true.
They had what was like one building in Holmes Glen dedicated entirely to radio and TV production.
You're inside the media facility, so this is where we have all of our studios.
And just, you know, even their studio newsroom was unbelievable. It was, some of their equipment was the equivalent of the professional landscape.
That was a crazy experience for me, even though I'm from the business side of the degree. Getting to see how a different country runs their media, and especially sports media, is quite cool. American sport's a lot different to Australian sport, and getting to see how, I guess, the next generation is kind of preparing for their step into professionalism in a city like Las Vegas it was pretty cool, and it's something that I always wanted to do.
Sitting in two of their classes which we were in for, one was like a community news, where a class works together to create the university's news, and then the next class was feature writing. You know, it was a bit more specified, which was really interesting, but seeing the way they all work together, and, you know, the knowledge that the students actually have where they have the ability to run it was also very interesting as well.
Amazing game.
Absolutely amazing game. Saw the women's and the men's, Michigan versus South Carolina, amazing game.
Seeing how sport's playing a role in how the city's moving forward, and even the role it has played previously in healing from events like shootings and that sort of thing has been super interesting as well.
The Golden Knights and their story as to how they kind of healed the city through sport, through some of the unfortunate events that happened when the Golden Knights were just starting, and then some of their values. Like the thing that stuck with me from the Golden Knights and the Silver Knights, because they both had it up in their office, is that the community sport is a contact sport. I think that's kind of stuck with a lot of us as well. It's something that, you know, we get told in Australia that it's a community-based thing and that like, all the clubs are really pushing community, but it's actually written in words everywhere you look inside their training facilities. But it's getting ingrained in culture here, and that was pretty cool to see. And I don't think there's been a truer statement said that community sport is like it's a contact sport, and it's probably something that Australia could get better at.
In some ways it's lived up to your expectations of Vegas, but in some ways it hasn't. You know, you watch all the movies, you read about it and you hear about it, but it's not as much of a party atmosphere. You speak to the general public and they're almost trying to disassociate with that party lifestyle through sport. And I think sport's going to be a catalyst for that as they move forward.